Hi everyone, so we've got the results from the latest poll which was asking about where to correctly make declarations of a pharmaceutical company's involvement in sponsorship and funding in projects. Now the two options that had the least number of votes, 5% of the vote each, were either at the end of a video or at the end of an article but in the acknowledgements section. And both these options indeed are not compliant with the code. The reason being that the code requirement is that these declarations need to be prominently made at the outset of things, generally meaning at the start. So they don't want you to have to read through things, see things before then finding out that a pharma company was involved. So Nick, the AI bot, was partially correct, but needed that human interpretation that yes, whether it's acknowledgements or not, being at the end is not correct. And the cases that those come from, I'll put in the comments so that you can see and read. Now the remaining two options both come from the same case, and that is involving Roche. It's 3851 1123. And the most popular option there that received 64% of the vote was that it's okay to have the declaration on a website immediately prior to the links that actually allow you to download the materials. In this case, it was reports. The other option that had 27% of you was, again, say in the same case, another report where the declaration was made in the foreword, but that was on page 5, so not immediately. So who was correct? Well, the 64% of you that chose the declaration on a web page immediately prior to links to the material, you were actually wrong. Now, although you might think that satisfies the from the outset, the panel said that also the material in question, in this case a report that it's being funded, has to stand alone in its own right, which means that the declarations need to be correct on that material itself. You cannot rely on the declaration of company involvement on that website prior to accessing the links. Not necessarily a bad idea to have one, but that alone does not meet the code requirements. These reports were downloadable, therefore in their own right must be entirely correct. By contrast, the report that had on page 5, although it was page 5, pages 1 to 4 were a cover page, a short paragraph about the healthcare organisation, and then the contents page. The first page following contents was foreword, and that's where the declaration was made. Now, what you could actually do from the contents page was you could click on it and skip over the foreword and potentially access the content of the sponsored report without seeing the declaration. But regardless of that, the panel still felt that because it was present there before the actual meat of the report that was sponsored, then that meant that it was actually from the outset, it was at the start before you got into anything, and the fact it was present on the report itself allowed that report to stand alone, and therefore that was within code requirements. So I hope you found that interesting. If there's anything else that you want to know or ask or comment on, please do so below.